Hello, everyone. This is Mike and Rainbow from Dimensional Walking. And today we're going to talk about haunting sites that we have visited. We're going to talk about another one, which is in at McMenamins in Edgefield in Troutdale,
Troutdale.
Troutdale,
No, Troutdale.
Troutdale, Oregon.
Yeah.
One of our favorite spots. They have a
Yeah.
in the Northwest, including Northern California, they have a series of restaurants, hotels, and they're all from many of them are part of old buildings and old structures that they have remodeled or converted into restaurants. And a lot of the things that are the original structures are kept. They just add some really cool decorations.
Yeah, they're all historical.
And add some really wonderful decorations.
Yeah.
But the one that we're going to talk about today is what they call the Edgefield one. And it is a complex. It's not only one building. Some of them are just one buildings.
Well,
types.
it's a hotel.
It's a hotel. It's got a spa.
It's got a brewery to it. It's got a spa. They do a ton of concerts there. They have a theater and they have.
It has a distillery.
A golf course.
There's a golf course,
and
right?
Then they have, I think, 3 restaurants. The Black Rabbit. There's another one outside, and then there's another one in another building where the theater is at. So
right,
they've got
right. It's
and they also grow their own
place.
food there.
Yes, all organic type food.
It's
massive.
Really quite it's 74 acres.
Right, it is massive, and that's so it was built in the original building itself was built in 1911, and it was a county poor farm. It was called. And where they people that were poor, they would go out there and they could grow their own food and they could live there, etc. And like Rainbow says, it's 74 acres, and it has vineyards there. It has beautiful vineyards, and I think Rainbow's favorite beverage there is the hard cider that they make there on site. So it's really cool. So so Rainbow went out there by herself. You were with some friends, right?
Went with some friends, and the really cool thing about Edgefield is that they have photographs of the history of the building.
Right.
So the people who actually used to farm their own food, they have pictures of them there. And then it turned into a nursing home. And so you can kind of see the old photographs of the men and the women who used to stay there. And there were separate areas for the men and the women. And so they used to have all kinds of really cool stuff that they would do there. And one thing that I like about what the McMenamins do is they try to keep the atmosphere of a location, and they don't like to basically state that their locations are haunted, but in this particular case, this one is. Now, there's one room at Edgefield, and it's room 215. Also another room right next to it, 214. And room 215, when they were renovating Edgefield, I think when McMenamins actually bought the building, they were redoing this room, and they had found that it had a pentagram drawn on it. And it just, I think there was somebody who died in there. I think there's somebody who actually committed suicide. And so it has all this very confusing, very dark energy to it. And a lot of people who it's actually a very popular room to rent, especially for paranormal investigators, but people unknowingly rent that room. And some of them end up leaving in the middle of the night because they just can't stay there. They just kind of freak out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
stories.
So when I went there, I just kind of went because I'd heard that it was a really cool place to go to. I went with some friends at work, and I went actually twice by myself. Once with a whole group, and then the second time with another friend for her birthday. And I actually ended up I interviewed 3 people who worked there for an article that I wrote for Paranormal Underground. And it's this issue right here. And it is the September 2019 issue. And there's quite a few different stories. Actually, the one that I really love, because I'm Scottish, is that you can hear bagpipes in the early morning in the distance. So there's some ghostly figure that plays the bagpipes, and a lot of people state that they hear the bagpipes. So that's one thing Michael and I are going to do. We're going to go stay there, and I want to hear the bagpipes. That's something that I think would be so cool. There is, I believe Ryan, he basically, I think I saw the video of this actually happening, but in the distillery, there's was a story of a broom that they would find every morning that would be standing in the middle of the floor, just standing straight up. It's like just a typical broom, like a
like a corn broom. I
yeah,
think they call it
yeah,
corn stack broom.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And so they would try to stand it on its own, and it would just always fall over. But they would have it pushed to the side, and in the morning there it would be standing by itself. And they actually have a video of walking all the way around the broom. So there there's no strings. They went up top, they just touched all around. There's no, I mean, and then if you touch it, it just kind of falls over. So that's something really interesting. I don't know what that means. But Ryan also was telling me a story about seeing footsteps in the snow when he was walking with his wife out in the distant area by the golf course. He said you could see the footsteps being made. You could actually see them, actually the footprint going, and then all of a sudden stop, and it went nowhere. So he said, you could see the flakes of the snow coming down, and you could see the footsteps, and nobody was there, but you could see the footsteps being made, but there's nobody there, and it just stopped in the middle of nowhere. So he thought that. He's kind of a skeptic, though. Even the broom, he wasn't too sure about that. And then the footsteps, the rational mind, the skeptic in a lot of people, they try to figure there's another reason for something happening. I mean, but I don't know how you can fake footsteps, and I don't know about the broom. And the broom happens with a lot of different people,
right?
And they actually know where they put the broom, so that was really interesting. And then Clara's story has to do with her working in the bar area, and there was nobody in. I think when she first got there, I don't know if they were open yet, and I think she said that she saw a full body apparition of somebody in there. So she went in there and said, "Hey, hello, how are you? Do you need something?" And they just disappeared. She went and looked, and there was nobody there.
Mhm.
So that was pretty. That made her a little bit more of a believer. And then we have Christina's story, which I found very interesting. They have a painting in the bar area, and you have to look really closely at it, but there's a little kitty cat in the painting, and they believe that the little kitty cat is this ghost at Edgefield. And she stayed in room, I think it was actually the room that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, 214, where our friends Shannon and Duncan stayed. And she was actually in that room with her husband, and she said that because they both worked there, they decided to stay the night because of work that he had to do. And she was asleep in bed when she actually felt a cat jump on the bed with her. And she actually pet the cat. She said, "I felt the cat." I know, and there's Beastie, perfect timing. Yeah. So she said, I pet the cat. I experienced the cat. I talked to the cat. She said, I'm not, I didn't imagine it. I know what I felt, she said. And she could hear it in the room. And then all of a sudden it disappeared. And then that's when she told me, she said, "Go look at that painting over there." And she said, "I think that looks like the cat that she saw." And then I think she had another part of that evening, she thought somebody came into the room, and she thought it was her husband, and it wasn't. And so she's a little freaked out about that. So that's just room 214. That's not room 215, right, folks.
That's not, that's
215 is supposed to be the really spooky one, and we're gonna actually rent 215. So that's on a list for us to do. And so with all that being said, when I was there, I got the sense and the feeling of, it was really interesting. When I walked the hallway, I think because it was a nursing home, I didn't get a scary feeling at all. There may be scary stuff happening out around, but I never got the feeling of it was a bad haunting. It was like, if you're an empath, it's like a feel good kind of place, because spirits come over to you. They're very friendly. I loved it. And I found it very, very welcoming, which I've never been to a location where there were so many spirits that welcomed me. So I just truly loved it. So it's really a beautiful place. So if you're ever in the Oregon area, go to Edgefield in Troutdale, Oregon. The McMenamin family, they own it. And there's so many things for you to do there. You could actually stay there and actually have stuff to do for a couple of days.
Right.
You don't even have to leave.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is it's on the beautiful Columbia River Gorge.
Yeah.
It's right, it's right off of it. I mean, you can see that, you can actually see it from up on the top, one of the top windows looking out, you can actually see the river.
Yeah,
that's what I see. That's
exactly.
It's really cool. And of course, that whole gorge area is a whole nother story. There's all kinds of stuff going on along there too.
Oh yeah. Scary stuff. So.
Okay. So you're going to tell them about the,
so we
Shannon
went to, we kind of did a kind of a celebration with some friends of ours, Shannon and Duncan, and they're a hoot. We have a good time with them. We went to the Black Rabbit restaurant, and here's what's so crazy. This is what's so crazy, is that without knowing it,
without telling them anything,
nothing, Shannon gets room 214. But Shannon is a huge empath. I mean, she's extremely psychic, and it was like, it just happened. And so we're going to room 214. They call room 215 Amazing Grace. They figured that if they put kind of like an enlightened name to it, that it might help out. But room 214, which is next to it, has paranormal activity connected to it. Mm-hmm. So we go into the room, and it was really, the rooms are really beautiful. They're the old-fashioned rooms that are big. They're really, and they have big windows, so big you can windows, look out.
High ceilings.
Yes, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah,
and so
they paint them really cool with all kinds of decorative, weird kind of painting on the wall, and right artistic. On the wall. They actually do right on the wall. The paintings are actually on the walls.
Yes,
so it's really cool.
It is really cool. So they have their dogs. They have these two really cool dogs. It's really the little dog and a big dog. Mm-hmm. And so they decided that they were going to go take the dogs for a walk, and Michael went with them. And I said, well, I'm going to stay in this room, and I'm just going to see if I can pick up on anything. And so what I had done is, once they left, I turned the light off, which I normally, and Michael knows this, I hardly ever do this because I hate dark rooms. Yeah, but I did it because I wanted to make contact, and spirits always come right up to me, right up to my face, because they're curious, or they're right here. And so after they left, I go turn the light off. I go back and sit down, and all of a sudden in the bathroom, I hear like football players in the bathroom hitting the walls, smacking everything around. And all of a sudden I started thinking to myself, well, I better put boundaries down, because that's what I do when I go into a haunted location. And I made it very clear that nothing can come up to me and touch me or hurt me. And if it didn't come with my highest good in mind, it had to stay away, and that negative spirits and entities had to go out the window or through the door. They had to leave that room. They weren't welcome with me. The other spirits who were friendly could stay in with me. So I said, the friendly spirits can stay, the negative ones had to go. And I made that very, very clear. And I kept saying that, but I said it out loud. I didn't say it just in my head. I said it out loud. Football players in the bathroom again. And I'm like, this is really interesting. And I'm like, okay, don't jump up, don't jump up. And then so I was sitting there. I'm like, okay, calm down, Rainbow. It's, And so anyways, so then no noise in there, because I made it very clear again, no negative spirits. And I actually felt a couple spirits leave through the window, because I just finally had said, look, I'm telling you, don't mess with me. You're gonna leave. Okay, so The spirits were there, they were in the room, and you can just feel them, and they're quiet. They just kind of came around, and it was just, once the spirits in the bathroom left that were like football players, it was just nice spirits in there. And that's why I'm saying that Edgefield, if you want a scary experience, which I don't know why people want to be scared, you're not going to really get it there unless you really ask for it, which I don't understand that either. But these spirits were really wonderful. And so then they came back, and
we came back.
Yeah. So then Michael and Shannon and Duncan came back and turned the light. I had the light back on. And Shannon said, did you hear the football players in the bathroom? I'm like, what? And so because you can hear them. And so we validated each other that there were the spirits in the bathroom. And so she didn't like the bathroom. She took me in there, and there's this back door to, I think, in either another room or storage unit that's locked. And she said that she just did not like being alone in the bathroom, because she felt when she would take a shower, she just felt like she was being watched. You don't want to be watched when you're naked. You just don't like that feeling. You don't like someone hovering around when you have your clothes off. It makes you feel more vulnerable. So she said she didn't like that feeling. But we had asked Shannon and Duncan, did they experience anything that night, and they were able to sleep because the bed was right up against the wall that separated room 214 to room 215.
Right.
And so, I thought there were people who actually have rented 214 who actually left as well, because they had a paranormal activity. But Shannon is she's a pretty amazing empath, and she's one to be dealt with because she's like a priestess herself. So I think they just sense and know when you come with that energy, not to, because it takes a lot to really, I don't like to be scared. And once I feel like something's trying to scare me, I get mad. And I know that Shannon would be the same way. It's just like, oh no, you didn't just try to scare me kind of thing. It's not like I go looking for trouble, but I stand my ground. And so anyways, that was really cool. And now here's the thing. The reason why I want to go into room 215 is because I want to find out why there's constant paranormal activity happening in that room. And if whatever spirits are in there that maybe are trapped need help getting out. And that's what Michael and I do. We want to go help. I don't want to add to the problem ever. So if I didn't think I couldn't handle being in that room, I would never suggest us going in there and renting it. But that's one reason why I want to go in there, is to see if we can kind of help them out. But that's the one room where they say they maybe weren't going to rent it to people, but it's one of the most popular rooms. And maybe there's some people who don't have any experiences there.
Sure, I'm sure that's very possible.
Yeah, there's certain people that spirits kind of target towards, that they want to talk to, and some people they don't.
Yeah, and especially if there's a lot of these good spirits like you talk about.
Oh, there's a lot of them there.
So they probably don't want to necessarily go around and scare people. They only probably come out to people that could handle the situation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great place to go to. It's really a wonderful location.
Right.
And I call it Oregon's haunted gem, because that's what it really is. It's lots of cool stuff happening there. Live music as well, because we went there and heard live music. Remember?
Right, and they have concerts. It's got an amphitheater in the back.
Yeah, they have outdoor concerts.
It's got an indoor theater. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. It's got a spa and a
they
pool.
Have community rooms too, where you can go and hang out and sit.
Right.
It's wonderful. This is a great place. And it's very atmospheric, and it's very old fashioned. And so we're I like historical vintage sites where you can go in and actually, the furniture is still from way back when, that kind of thing. So really it's a great place to go visit.
Right. Okay. So that was that. So anything else? That's good.
No, I wish we, maybe the next adventure will be renting room 215, and we'll hopefully bring you along, because we're trying to work on our doing videos on our cameras.
Sure.
So we're going to be working on that next.
Okay. So if you like us, please subscribe. We need your subscriptions. And if you want to comment on the YouTube or comment at dimensionalwalking@gmail.com. And that's about it. Thank
And
you very much.
one more thing.
Oh, okay.
Chat.
One more thing. Go.
I want to plug Paranormal Underground magazine, Chad and Cheryl Wilson. So I want everybody to know about them. It's a great magazine. You can subscribe online. You can get digital copies, or you can actually get I like to have the kind of copies where you can fill it in your hand. I'm old fashioned that way, but if you can, just check them out. Okay. And they are www.paranormalunderground.net.
Okay.
Now we're done.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.